40 years ago today, a movie premiered that would change my life forever. Of course, it would only be maybe 16 years after that I would actually watch it, because I wasn't born yet. But this isn't about me. This is about getting the band back together. It's about being on a mission from God. Being 106 miles from Chicago with a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes, it's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Tonight on the Sam T. Blues Review, we pay tribute, again, to the Blues Brothers. The movie premiered, like I said, today, June 20th, all the way back in 1980, and became a huge part of my childhood and adulthood. And if you remember last year, we did a huge two-part tribute to the Blues Brothers. We talked about their early days on SNL, John Belushi meeting Curtis Salgado and forming the band, making the movie, and of course touring after the unfortunate death of John Belushi. We touched on the film. We didn't really go in depth because this is a music show, not a movie show, as I like to say, but music makes the movie what it is, my friends. And we played from the soundtrack of the movie last time. We got some rare recordings in there, material from the movie that did not make the soundtrack. And if you want to hear that tribute, I'm pretty proud of it. You just go to 977thebolt.com/bluesreview, click on full shows. It's in our 2019 archive. There's a search bar too if that's too many steps. So today's show, what are we going to talk about? Well, we're going to talk about the music of the Blues Brothers movie. Much like the plot of the movie, we have to get the band back together. John Belushi stars as Joliet Jake Blues on lead vocals. Dan Aykroyd, who co-wrote the movie with John Landis, stars as Elwood Blues on vocals and harmonica. But there are 8 individuals who made up the movie band for the Blues Brothers. And that is Steve the Colonel Cropper, Donald Duck Dunn, Murphy Dunn, no relation, Willie Hall, Tom Bones Malone, Blue Lou Marini, Matt Guitar Murphy, and Alan Rubin. How did these people get to be part of this movie, part of this blues, rhythm and blues supergroup? Well, let's break it down. We're going to start with the Colonel, Steve Cropper, on lead guitar. As you know by now, if you listen to the show, you know that Stax Records in Memphis, Tennessee was the premier recording service for blues and soul artists in the 1960s and 70s. A young Steve Cropper recorded his first hit for Stax in 1961 when he was still in high school as part of the band The Marquees. And that first song that he recorded was Last Night. The next band Cropper would be a part of is what I consider, at least, the quintessential soul music band, Booker T and the MGs, yeah. Alongside Donald Duck Dunn, Al Jackson Jr., and Booker T. Jones, Cropper would record on hundreds and hundreds of Stax Records hits as the backing band for people like Otis Redding, Sam and Dave, Wilson Pickett, Eddie Floyd, so many more. Any of those soul hits you hear in the 60s, early 70s, if you hear that band in the background, that's got to be Booker T. As their own band, the MGs produced hits like Green Onions, Time Is Tight, Hip Hug Her, Mo Onions, Chinese Checkers, all these wonderful tunes. And the Blues Brothers Band even performed Green Onions on their 1980 album, Made in America. And they incorporate the intro of Time Is Tight into their Can't Turn You Loose instrumental opening in the movie. Little fun fact right there. And of course, Steve Cropper seems like an obvious choice to play on the Blues Brothers soundtrack, but it almost didn't happen. Guitarist Robin Ford was being scouted for the band after Cropper was sort of on the fence. But Cropper received a call, we call him Cropper around here, he received a call from John Belushi, with Ford in the room. So they're talking on the phone, and Robin Ford was like, well, hey, wait, I want to do that. That sounds like fun. And Cropper's like, well, no, wait a minute, I'm going to do it. Oh, I'll do it, all right. I can't do a Steve Cropper, but the point is, he said he'd do it. Cropper was working with Ford on the album The Inside Story at the time, which also featured future Blues Brothers members Alan Mr. Fabulous Rubin, Tom Bones Malone, and Blue Lou Marini. Robin Ford didn't get to be in the Blues Brothers, but we can put him on the Sam T. Blues Review. It's almost as good. No, it's not. Here is Need Somebody from The Inside Story. Let's hear some Robin Ford on the Blues Review.
All alone I need somebody to love. The nights grow long when you need somebody to love. Sometimes you cry when you need somebody to love. Might even tell lies when you need somebody to love. Tell her for me that I need somebody to love. But baby, can't you see? Can't you see that I need somebody to love? Can't you see I'm all alone? Somebody that I need somebody to love. But baby, can't you see? Can't you see that I need somebody to love? Yes, I do. Say goodbye so long and now you're gone. Somebody, someone love. Tell her for me, can't you see I'm all alone? Somebody. Goodbye so long and now you're gone. Someone to love. Tell her for me, can't you see I'm all alone? All alone with somebody. I'm so glad to be here tonight.
And that was the wicked Pickett himself, Wilson Pickett, with Everybody Needs Somebody to Love, here on the Sam T. Blues Review. Pickett would become a frequent collaborator with later incarnations of the Blues Brothers Band and their individual members, including bassist Donald Duck Dunn. Duck and Steve Cropper were childhood friends growing up in Memphis. They played in high school together as the Royal Spades, which became the Marquis. Then, of course, Booker T and the MGs. Dunn describes the MGs as a real team. No one ever let their egos get in the way of the music, and it shows. The music they created together would be some of the greatest music of all time and would define an entire generation and movement, really. Songs like Respect, done by Otis Redding and Aretha Franklin, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, the great Otis Redding tune. All these tunes had the sweet sounds of the MGs backing them up. Let's get a little taste of that, if you don't mind, from the Blues Brothers soundtrack, featuring the backing band of Booker T and the MGs, Sam and Dave. Hold on, I'm coming.
Don't you ever be sad. Lean on me in times of bad. When the day comes and you're down and I'm in trouble and I'm about to drown, just hold on. I'm coming. Hold on. I'm coming. I'm on my way. You're coming. If you get cold, yeah, I will be your cover. Don't have to worry, 'cause I'm here. Don't need to suffer, baby, 'cause I'm here. Just hold on. I'm coming. Hold on. I'm coming. Hold on. I'm coming. Hold on. I'm coming. Look at it. Reach out to me for satisfaction, yeah. Look at here, Dave. That's all she got to do. Call my name and for quick reaction, yeah, 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 yeah. Now don't you ever be sad. Lean on me when the times are bad. When the day comes and you're down, baby, in a river of trouble and I'm about to drown, just hold on. I'm coming. Hold on. I'm coming. Don't you worry, I'm coming. Here you come. Hold on. You're about to say I'm coming. Yeah. Hold on. Don't you worry, I'm coming.
Sam and Dave with Hold On, I'm Coming, as featured in the movie The Blues Brothers, and that song played before Jake and Elwood decided to take a little shortcut through the Dixie Square Mall in Harvey, Illinois. Donald Duck Dunn played on that tune and many other Sam and Dave hits, as well as songs for Albert King, Eddie Floyd, Willie Dixon, Ray Charles, and Isaac Hayes. Duck Dunn and Steve Cropper would work together on so many projects. It was a real two-for-one deal. If you have Steve Cropper, you gotta have Duck Dunn. I'm so freaking excited about the Blues Brothers. 40 years, ladies and gentlemen, 40 years since this monumental movie. So let's talk about how Duck got involved. Much like Cropper, he received a call from John Belushi. He hung up right away. He thought it was a friend playing a joke on him. Belushi calls back. And this is like, I think it was 2 or 3 in the morning, and he says, "No, it's really John Belushi. We're putting a band together. I want you. I want Steve Cropper." He auditioned for the band, and the rest, as they say, is history. Another Dunn that was part of the Blues Brothers band was Murphy Dunn, no relation. Murph was part of the fictional Murph and the Magic Tones after the breakup of the Blues Brothers band, with Steve Cropper, Duck Dunn, Willie Hall, and Tom Malone. The original Blues Brothers script had the brothers tracking down band members one by one, which would have made for a longer movie, more arduous process, if that's the right word. The original script also intended for Paul Schaefer to be the band's keyboard player. Schaefer, unfortunately, was contractually obligated to Saturday Night Live and Gilda Radner's live stage show, Gilda Live, and could not contribute to the movie. Murphy Dunn was an accomplished actor and piano player and was happy to join the cast. His father actually had ties to Chicago, where the movie is set. George Dunn was the president of the Cook County Board of Commissioners from 1969 to 1991, the longest service of anyone holding that office. So to think he's the president of the Cook County Board of Commissioners, and the movie, filmed in 79, took place in 1980, they probably, in the fictional Blues Brothers universe, maybe interacted with George Dunn along the way. Don't you love this? Don't you love these facts that mean nothing? While Murphy Dunn did not record much apart from the Blues Brothers and its less than stellar sequel, he did a fair amount of acting, alongside John Candy in a couple films, including Going Berserk, several episodes of Laverne and Shirley, along with a novelty Lenny and the Squigtones album, in the 1981 film Honky Tonk Freeway, which was the most expensive box office bomb in history. Wow. Anyway, that's Murphy Dunn. We're going to be back. More of the Blues Brothers 40th Anniversary Spectacular right after this. Don't you go changing.
Don't go changing to try and please me. You never let me down before. Don't imagine you're too familiar, and I don't see you anymore. I would not leave you in times of trouble. We never could have come this far. I took the good times, I'll take the bad times. I take you just the way you are. Need to know that you will always be the same old someone that I knew. Oh, what will it take till you believe in me the way that I believe in you? I said I love you, that's forever. This I promise from the heart. I couldn't love you any better. I love you just the way you are. Want someone that I can talk to. I want you just the way you are.
Same old place, sweet home, Chicago. Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? makes me lay high. Baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place, sweet home, Chicago? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Oh, come on, baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place, sweet home, Chicago? 6 and 3 is 9, 9 and 9 is 18. Look there, brother, baby, and I'll see what I see. Hey, baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place, sweet home, Chicago? Oh, come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go back to that same old place, my sweet home, Chicago?
Sweet Home Chicago, that is by the Blues Brothers, originally written and recorded by Robert Johnson, made famous again by the late, the great Magic Sam. While the movie, The Blues Brothers, is set in Chicago, many of the musicians were from Memphis and other places. Willie Too Big Hall was a session drummer for Stax Records and a Memphis native. He still resides in Memphis. Hall was approached about joining the movie after their original drummer, Steve Gitwa Jordan, was unavailable. Hall performed with Isaac Hayes for many years and backed a lot of other great Stax/Volt artists, including Johnny Taylor, Rufus Thomas, the Staple Singers, so Hall was more than qualified to fill in that Steve Jordan role. Released exactly 10 years before the Blues Brothers premiered, from 1970, here is a little Beatles cover for you on a Saturday. Can you believe it? We're Saturday now, Saturday night, live at 8, the Sam T. Blues Revue. Here is Something, Willie Hall on drums, Isaac Hayes on vocals, on the Blues Revue.
Something in the way she moves attracts me like no other lover. Something in the way she woos me. I don't wanna, I don't want to leave her now. You know I leave her now. Somewhere in a smile she knows, and I don't need no other lover. Oh, something in a style. You know I believe it now. stick around in Mayo, but I don't know. I don't know.
This is the Sam T. Blues Revue, the premier blues and rhythm and blues radio show in the United States, Canada, and certain areas of Venezuela. On today's show, we are paying tribute to the Blues Brothers Band on the day of the Blues Brothers movie's 40th anniversary, June 20th. And the next cat on our list of band members is Tom Bones Malone, one of my favorite people of all time. Bones Malone started his career playing trumpet for Brenda Lee while he studied at the University of Southern Mississippi. He later transferred to North Texas State University to play alongside Blue Lou Marini. Bones, of course, plays trombone, as his name indicates, as well as piccolo, flute, saxophone, flugelhorn, euphonium, I thought that was a plant, tuba, guitar, and the synthesizer programmer, whatever that is. Malone and Marini got their big break as the Saturday Night Live house band in their first 5 years, 75 to 80. Malone would go on and be the musical director for SNL from 81 to 85. While there, Malone wrote for Belushi and Aykroyd as the Blues Brothers, and when it came time to include the band in the movie, well, of course, Bones Malone had to be a part of it. Belushi allegedly told Malone that he would make him the most famous trombone player since Jimmy Dorsey, despite the fact Dorsey played saxophone. Malone, apart from the Blues Brothers, has played on more than 1,000 records, an insane amount of TV appearances, most notably as the CBS Orchestra on Late Show with David Letterman, also played with Blood, Sweat, and Tears, The Band, Aretha Franklin, Lou Reed, B.B. King, Miles Davis, the list goes on and on. He is such an accomplished and incredible musician, and he also played with Bruce Willis. And for some reason, that's the one I'm gonna play. So it's I'll Go Crazy, cover of James Brown's I'll Go Crazy. Bruce Willis featuring Tom Bones Malone.
If you leave me, I'll go crazy. If you leave me, I'll go crazy. 'Cause I love you, love you, love you, love you. I love you too much. If you quit me, I'll go crazy. If you forget me, I'll go so crazy. 'Cause I love you, love you, love you, love you. I love you too much. You gotta live for yourself, yourself and nobody else. You gotta live for yourself, yourself and nobody else. If you leave me, I'll go crazy. If you leave me, I'll go crazy. 'Cause I love you, love you, love you, love you. I love you too much. You gotta live for yourself, yourself and nobody else. You gotta live for yourself, yourself and nobody else. If you leave me, I'll go crazy. If you leave me, I'll go crazy. 'Cause I love you, I love you, I love you too much.
Oh, I Wish It Would Rain. That was Aretha Franklin on the Blues Revue. That tune featured 3 Blues Brothers band members in Alan Rubin, Bones Malone, and Blue Lou Marini. Marini, one of the most sought-after session horn players with his expertise on saxophone, flute, and clarinet. His nickname came about when Dan Aykroyd suggested that all the band members in the Blues Brothers need to have a nickname. Marini chose Blue Lou after the jazz standard made famous by Charlie Shavers, but recorded by all sorts of folks, including the great Benny Goodman. Lou Marini was part of the SNL band, much like Bones, as well as the Tonight Show band, the David Letterman Show band, not to be confused with Late Night or Late Show with David Letterman. And of course, in 1980, he joined the Blues Brothers movie band. And he said he was honestly a little disappointed when he saw the final cut of the film because Marini had a lot more scenes. The whole band did, really, and unfortunately, in the editing process, a lot was taken out. He did have a much larger role in Blues Brothers 2000, but I think we'll lose our sponsorship if we mention Blues Brothers 2000 again. So let's move on. Marini also recorded with Lou Reed, Eric Clapton, Aerosmith, Tony Bennett, Diana Ross, the Rolling Stones, Steely Dan, and he played saxophone on Matt Guitar Murphy's solo album Lucky Charm. Floyd Murphy Jr., Matt's nephew, also contributed greatly to that album, and we'll talk with Floyd in a little bit about his experience working with his Uncle Matt. Right now, a Blues Revue exclusive, the premiere of Floyd Murphy Jr.'s Watching You, Watching Me. Check it out, it's Floyd Murphy Jr. on the Sam T. Blues Revue.
Come here, girl.
Ooh, baby.
'Cause I've been watching you. And I think you've been watching me too.
Yes, I have.
The way she looks at me. She drives me crazy. With that big style, she drives me wild. She's got the moves with a whole lot of style.
Alrighty, let's rock and roll. What do we got here?
All right. And welcome back to the Sam T. Blues Revue. Joining me now, someone I would consider blues royalty, nephew of the great Matt Guitar Murphy, son of the equally great Floyd Murphy. It's Floyd Murphy Jr. Floyd, how are you?
Doing swell, Sam.
First off, I really want to thank you for taking time out of your day to talk with me.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So I first knew of your uncle, Matt Murphy, through the Blues Brothers movie, as did I'm sure a lot of people. And I was just a kid when I saw it, but I instantly fell in love with the movie and the music, and that led me to kind of do a little research, and I found your uncle's work in the 50s and 60s with these incredible blues artists, Memphis Slim, Sonny Boy Williamson, James Cotton. The list goes on and on, obviously, you know that. But that hooked me on the blues. Yeah, and that was all directly from Matt Murphy, just hearing his guitar style and, you know, figuring out where that all came from. And that was directly from him.
Yes, absolutely. His stats is quite impressive. I mean, he was involved in a lot of things in that era. Being a kid, you know, I didn't know a lot of this until after I started touring with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I knew he was always on the road touring when I was coming up. And when he was, you know, pretty much every year, you know, and here I am like this 8, 9, 10-year-old kid, and my dad would say, Uncle Matt's coming, and him and Dad was really close out of all the brothers. I think him and my father was probably the closest.
And speaking of your dad was in Junior Parker's Blue Flames, right?
Absolutely, yes. He was a session guitarist at Sun Records. I think that was Sun Records when they did Mystery Train.
And that's one of my all-time favorite songs. So
yeah, I can't recall. There was another couple of other tracks too. I mean, where my dad is playing this amazing guitar style. He always had this. He was really cool with this open string fingering kind of technique. But it sounded like 2 guitar players playing at once. That was really amazing at that. A lot of good stuff going on around that time. You know, later on, Elvis Presley ended up doing Mystery Train.
That's right, yeah. He did a real good version of it.
Train a ride long. Train I ride, 16 coaches long. Well, that long black train got my baby and gone.
And then I know you followed in your dad and your uncle's footsteps. You're an accomplished musician yourself. Are you play guitar and drums, right?
Yes, I play guitar and drums. I play bass. I'm currently working on a tribute record to Matt Murphy and my father Floyd, and I've been working on it for some time now. I'm hoping I'll get this thing finished this year.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to that. I didn't know you were doing a whole tribute to them. That's exciting.
Yeah. I had no other choice but to learn how to play. I mean, once Matt, he would come visit. Here I am, 8, 9 years old, 10 maybe, I don't know, and like they would set the guitars up in our living room in our house, and that did it. I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? My dad's playing, and they just swamping, back and forth, taking solos and rhythms, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. I didn't get into guitar until later. I started out my first instrument was drums, and after I beat up all of my mother's pot and pans, my dad finally bought me a set of drums. I think I was about 10, maybe 9 or 10 or something like that, and started playing from there, By that time, I was playing in bands with my father. I wasn't even old enough to be in the clubs. I was still in junior high school, I think, and I was playing in clubs with my dad.
So you never really had another career in mind, did you? It was always music?
It was always music. Man, it was so deep in our family. That's pretty much all I wanted to do, I mean, my dad bought me my first kit, and, how most parents are. They buy your kids a guitar or a drum set or whatever, and they play with it for a little while, and then they set it over in the corner, and they don't go back to it and mess with it. Well, I kept going. Matter of fact, my first drum set my dad bought me had a picture of Mickey Mouse in the front. So it was a good set. Yeah, so I kept playing him, throwing him off, and he was like, all right, I think this boy wants to play. And I'll never forget, my dad came up to my job and said, hey, your Uncle Matt's in Chicago, and he needs a drummer. Something happened to his drummer. We want you to come up and play, because he don't have a drummer. I was like, let's go. Me and my dad went up to Chicago, and that first night, I played with him, and it ended up being 20 years. It turned into 20 years. And Matt took me around the world, and I did a few records with him, and then he took me everywhere. Italy, all of Europe, Canada, South America, did the whole nine. And, I started touring. Then we did, then he released a few records, The Blues Don't Bother Me, and I'm playing drums and guitar. I actually co-wrote a couple of songs. One of those records, I can't remember. Lucky Charms, I'm on that one.
Why do you think it's important to, keep on playing the blues? You're doing this tribute album to your dad and your uncle. Why is it important to keep that music alive?
Oh, geez. I don't know, man. We were really close. My dad was my best friend, and Matt, and I just think that when they first departed, it was a big blow on me. I don't have any brothers and sisters. I really took it hard. So I figured that, you know what, I'm feeling like we took it this far. We're going to hand you the torch. You need to keep the Murphy name alive. I just kind of got that in a dream or something like that, and I'm going to continue doing it until the day I die, and just try to keep that torch burning.
Well, Floyd, I'm really excited to hear the new album when that's done. Hopefully you can send some tracks our way, and we'll definitely play that, and I hope to talk to you again. This was a blast. Again, that's Floyd Murphy Jr. Floyd, thanks again.
Thank you. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to, collaborating with you somewhere down the line, man. I get this record done, and we can hopefully do something, maybe do a show or something. Event.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll be in touch for sure. I think that'd be really great.
All right, cool, man. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Floyd. Have a good one.
If you say no, Elwood and I will come here for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day of the week.
Okay, I'll play. You got me. Sir. 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 Sir.
Till my temperature's rising and my feet on the floor. 20 people rocking and they wanna go more. Help me in, baby, I don't know what you got, but you better take it easy. This place is hot. So glad you made it. So glad you made it. You gotta give me some loving. Give me some loving. Give me some loving every day. Hey, hey. Well, I feel so good, everything is sounding high. Better take it easy, 'cause the place is on fire. Been a hard day and I don't know what to do. Wait a minute, baby, can that happen to you? So glad you made it. So glad you made it. You gotta give me some loving. Give me some loving. Give me some loving every day. Hey. Well, I feel so good, everybody's getting higher. Better take it easy, 'cause the place is on fire. Been a hard day, nothing went too good. Now I'm gonna relax, honey, everybody should. So glad you made it. Hey, hey, so glad you made it. You gotta give me some loving. Give me some loving. Give me some loving. Give me some loving. Give me some loving.
Hey, welcome back everybody to the Sam T Blues Review, and we have been talking about the Blues Brothers, because this is the film's 40th anniversary. When I say this, I mean today. Today is June 20th. Before the break, I talked with Floyd Murphy Jr., who is still working on a tribute to his father Floyd Murphy Sr. and Uncle Mac Guitar Murphy of the Blues Brothers Band. He's mixing some more tracks, I'm pretty sure, as I speak. So when he's done with those, we will premiere them right here on KHBT, so please stay tuned for that. Floyd Murphy Jr., follow him on Facebook, give him a like, and follow the Blues Review on Facebook and Instagram, STB_977. Now, Matt Murphy, he passed away in 2018, like I mentioned, and he was the third band member to die, unfortunately. Donald Duck Dunn died in 2012, and Alan Rubin the year before in 2011. Rubin was also part of the Saturday Night Live band and toured after the Blues Brothers movie as part of the original Blues Brothers band, known primarily for his incredible trumpet solo in Minnie the Moocher. Alan Rubin also played with Frank Sinatra, Frank Zappa, Duke Ellington, Sting, Aerosmith, Ray Charles, Peggy Lee, Miles Davis, Dr. John, and many more folks. He was a New York session musician and brought a certain elegance to the Blues Brothers, hence his nickname of Mr. Fabulous, given to him by Rob Belushi. Alan Rubin really was a one-of-a-kind musician, competent in jazz, blues, rhythm and blues, soul. You can hear his work on many Tina Turner hits as well, including this one from 1979, her cover of the OJ's Backstabbers.
Smiling in my face, but all the time they want to take my place. The backstabbers. So they're smiling in my face, all the time they want to take my place. The backstabbers. Everybody who really has someone, and if you really, really care, then I'm telling everybody that you better beware. of my friends. Oh, they keep coming around, time and time again. I know they're trying to take my baby, even though I never home, they just keep on coming. What can I do to get them on the right track? Oh, I wish they would take these knives out of my back. Oh, they keep smiling in my face all the time. They want to take my place.
Welcome back to the Sam T. Blues Review. If you're just joining me, this is the Sam T. Blues Review. And we've been discussing the Blues Brothers, those crazy brothers, those two brothers. Jake and Elwood Blues, of course, Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, in character as Jake and Elwood. And they had 8 wonderful musicians backing them up in the film. And I say that because you can see 8 people on screen, but you can hear 9 people in the soundtrack. So one member can be heard but not seen. This was due to contract disputes. Can you guess who that band member is? You're right, it's Tom Scott. Tom Scott, known for his work with the band LA Express. Scott has 29 solo recordings under his belt, along with 3 Grammy Awards, 13 Grammy nominations, and you can hear his baritone sax on Shake a Tail Feather, despite only Blue Lou's tenor saxophone being present on screen. So folks, if you're at home, why don't you fire up that Betamax, huh? Pop in the Laserdisc of the Blues Brothers, turn on the Blu-ray, and set your dials to Channel 4, and see if you can hear Mr. Tom Scott playing saxophone while Blue Lou is only playing saxophone. See if you can hear that. Doesn't this sound like a fun Saturday night? And if you're nowhere near a TV, you can't watch the Blues Brothers, can't pull up the scene on your phone if you're driving or something, well, we certainly don't want to cause any accidents. So I'm just going to play the song right now, Shake a Tail Feather, Ray Charles, ladies and gentlemen, with the Blues Brothers, and try to count all the instruments as you're listening.
Well, I heard about the fella you've been dancing with all over the neighborhood. So why didn't you ask me, baby? Or didn't you think I could? Well, I know that the Boogaloo is out of sight, but the shing-a-ling's a thing tonight. But if that was you and me, baby, I would have shown you how to do it right. Do it right. Shake it up.
Here they are, folks. The Blues Brothers Band. Steve the Colonel Cropper, Donald Duck Dunn, Murphy Dunn, Willie Hall, Tom Bones Malone, Lou Marini, Matt Guitar Murphy, and Alan, Mr. Fabulous Rubin. Backing up the Blues Brothers, Jake and Elwood Blues, played by John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd. 40 years later, we are still talking about the movie and the band and the car, the Bluesmobile, a 1974 Dodge Monaco, former Mount Prospect police car, and it's one of the most easily recognizable vehicles around. Even old police cars that vaguely resemble the Bluesmobile bring up references and memories of the movie, but there's no designing that exact car, that Monaco, done right, is such a beautiful sight. And my next guest, we've had on the show now 5 times, that's right. He has joined the Five Timers Club. That is Brian Scanlon. Brian's car was recently named the official Bluesmobile for all Blues Brothers approved ventures in the Chicagoland area. That is Brian Scanlon. Now, when you say the approved Bluesmobile, are there other Bluesmobiles that are approved, or are you the only one?
In Chicago, I am the only one, and I will be the only one in the Chicago metropolitan area. I'm not quite sure exactly how broad that of a range that covers. People have different definitions, but so at least within Chicago and the direct vicinity of the city, I will be the only one.
Tell me a little bit about what it entailed before you're officially licensed. I mean, just a few other hoops or certain events you maybe couldn't do?
So before I was licensed, the one big no-no, even before I was licensed, from their viewpoint, was being associated with any unlicensed acts. So that was definitely something that I avoided. There was a couple of instances that got me in a little bit of trouble, but after explaining the situation, I think made it better. You know, I went to a couple of corporate events, and much like what I do on a day-to-day basis, there's VPs and directors at these companies that want to be the Blues Brothers for a day.
Oh, sure.
And they would pose in the car in the suits. They would get up and sing a song because they had the resources to do so. And with video of that, there was no differentiating them from an unlicensed act. Yeah, I could see how that was viewed. I clarified those situations and fortunately was able to move on beyond that point.
I know you mentioned a lot of these big 40th celebrations unfortunately canceled or postponed, hopefully. Are there any other events that you have lined up now that you're officially licensed?
At this time, no.
Okay.
We're still waiting. Obviously Illinois, we're in stage or phase 3, so we're not quite there yet. There's no concerts, no movies, theaters, no large gatherings at this point. Unfortunately, I just have to bide my time and hope that something opens up by the fall where we can hopefully get something together.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Just from a personal point of view, I enjoy your car, and I always like the events you're at, whether it's a car show or a concert. And I can't wait for that to happen again.
I'm really looking forward to it. Right now, I'm in the process of putting a checklist together. There's some long overdue maintenance on the Bluesmobile that I need to do. So while I have the downtime, I'm definitely going to take advantage of that and start getting all those little things done that I haven't been able to do over the past 2 years of this whirlwind.
Don't forget to get the dead bugs off the windshield.
Yep.
A line like that I just said, it's like little things like that. I mean, this is one of the few movies where I can just say a random line, like 3 orange whips, like to my dad or someone, and they're going to laugh, they're going to get the joke, you're going to get the reference. It's these lines,
Absolutely.
It's these moments, What else? Why are we still talking about this movie?
Well, I think after 40 years, it's hard to explain. I mean, one, it's a quality movie. It's a good movie. It's got music. It's got comedy. It's got slapstick moments. It's a lot of physical comedy, if you will, that kind of transcends generations. I don't feel after watching it for the millionth time that it feels dated. You know, if it was, you know, made yesterday, it would still be the same great movie. Well, strike that. They tried that. Very subtle in its humor. I mean, there's really no laugh out loud jokes per se. It's just,
right.
You know, it's a great dialogue. It's witty. It's under the radar. Believe it or not, they're the straight guys in this whole movie for the most part. They're totally, you know, they don't even know what's going on around them most of the time. They just act like, you know, it's normal.
I think that's a good point. Unfortunately, we lost one of the great comedians in Fred Willard not too long ago. But he was really good at that. When he's in a comedy, when he's doing a funny role, it's that character. It's how they feel. It's what they're doing. You know, funny things might be happening around them, but you just got to play it cool. You don't know you're in a comedy, and I think the Blues Brothers emulates that as well.
Right, very much so. And you're absolutely right. Fred Willard was great at that. I think Aykroyd was great at deadpan. Belushi, he was very restrained in this movie.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't the wild Bluto from Animal House. He wasn't Wild Bill from 1941. You know, he's Jake Blues. He's, you know, a serious criminal.
Yeah.
And he played it that way. He played it straight for the most part. I think it was, you know, until the very end of the movie did either actor actually acknowledge the insanity that they're in the middle of. And I always take the scene where they're coming up the ramp from Lower Wacker Drive, and they're bracing themselves to hit the squad car, and they fly over the squad car, land on the other side of the bridge to continue on, and they both look at each other in total disbelief.
Yeah, I love that scene. That's a good one.
I think that's one of the few times that they actually acknowledged, you know, this is crazy. Well, Brian, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk with me. Do appreciate it. Brian, of course, is the owner and operator of the Chicago Blues Mobile, thechicagobluesmobile.com. Brian, again, I want to thank you so much. Thank you, Sam.
No problem at all. And welcome back to the Sam T. Blues Review. It is the 40th anniversary of the Blues Brothers movie today, June 20th, 40 years ago. Today, the Blues Brothers premiered in theaters. Of course, I was not around for that, but I do know someone who was, and that is my father, Tom Jensen. Dad, how's it going?
Going great. Can't believe it's been 40 years already. I've probably seen the movie 40 times.
Do you remember seeing it for the first time in theaters?
I absolutely do. There was this girl I knew, Gail. Her and I were really good friends, and I ran into her on a Saturday, and she said, "Oh, yeah, we all just went last night to see the Blues Brothers." And I said, "Holy cow, I wanted to see it. I wish I knew, but I think I was working at the time." And she said, "I'll go see it again." So we went and saw it Saturday, and I think it was within that next week I was talking to my cousin and some friends, and I said, "Yeah, I saw that movie already." And they said, "Oh, we wanted to go." And I said, "Well, let's go again." So I went and saw it again. I saw it twice within the first week, and probably 4 or 5 times within the first couple of years.
What about the movie made it so special, and that we still talk about it today?
Well, obviously the comedy was just, without them even acting like it was funny, it was funny. And of course the music. And I've heard interviews throughout the years about how John Belushi sat there before the movie and would play a record and throw that on the ground and break it and say, "Nope, not good enough. Nope, not good enough." Later, when I saw the uncut version, and then you see stuff that they took out that you kind of wish was still in there. They should have had that in the original.
Yeah, I mean, the original script was so long, it probably would have been like a 4 or 5 hour movie.
Could be.
I would have sat through all 5 hours.
Maybe not 40 times, but yeah. There's little things throughout the years that you've brought up to me. You know, like you can watch the movie and go, "See the guy sitting at the bar stool? That's so-and-so's son or somebody's cousin," or, you know, all the relatives that are in there. And just the stars that they brought out. Come on, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin.
Yeah.
You got those guys to go in a movie that who knows if it's going to take off. It's like the old Caddyshack thing where the guy that actually put that thing together didn't think it was a success. So nobody really knew how big this movie would be until it was actually out there, and it was a big hit.
I think it took a little while to get that cult status, too. I mean, do you remember when it came out?
Yeah.
I mean, were a lot of people talking about it, or was it just like you and like maybe a certain group of friends?
I don't think a lot of people got into, like, the older people probably didn't get into it.
Yeah.
Older people, like being my age now, probably didn't get into it. People who were SNL fans and knew of the Blues Brothers, how they started out on SNL, was probably one of the reasons they went to see the movie.
Sure.
Belushi and Aykroyd did a couple movies before that were good.
Yeah.
And they did a couple bad ones too, but I mean, this just took off for them. And then 20 years later to give it a try again, no, that one wasn't as good. But it had good music in it. It had a good theme to it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't as good as the original, but it played off pretty good.
I mean, it's just crazy to me to see in that 40 years, all the T-shirts, all the branding, all the quotes you hear everywhere. Obviously, the music being played nonstop. The House of Blues. I mean, it's just become this huge worldwide phenomenon just from one little movie.
Some people absolutely don't like it. It's not their thing, and those are people that belong in institutions.
Yeah, we don't communicate with those people.
No, I don't communicate with those kind of people. I would have liked to have been in the writer's room when they were putting that all together, or even watch some of it being put together. It was just crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dad, thank you so much. It's great talking with you, as always.
Right on.
Well, now when I get the blues, gonna get me a rocking chair. Well, now when I get the blues, gonna get me a rocking chair. And the blues overtake me, gonna rock right away from here. Now when I get lonesome, I get on the telephone. Now when I get lonesome, I get on the telephone. Well, I call my baby, tell her I'm on my way back home. Well, flip, flop, and fly. I don't care if I die. Flip, flop, and fly. I don't care if I die. Don't ever leave me, don't ever say goodbye. Give me one last kiss, hold it a long, long time. Give me one last kiss, hold it a long, long time. Well, hold that kiss till I feel it in my head like wine. Well, here come my baby, flashing a new gold tooth. Well, here come my baby, flashing a new gold tooth. Well, she's so small, she can mama in a payphone booth. Well, flip, flop, fly. I don't care if I die. Flip, flop, and fly. I don't care if I die. Don't ever leave me, don't ever say goodbye. Sitting on a hollow stump. I got so many women, I don't know which way to jump. Well, fly, fly, fly. I don't care if I die. Fly, fly, fly. I don't care if I die. Don't ever leave me, don't ever say goodbye.
You're listening to the Sam T. Blues Revue Blues Brothers 40th Anniversary Spectacular. So as you know, of course, the Blues Brothers helped revive the careers of so many incredible musicians. such as James Brown, Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, Cab Calloway, so many more artists. But there are several people that were asked to be in the film, but couldn't for whatever reason. The Maxwell Street Musicians were to feature Muddy Waters instead of John Lee Hooker, and Little Richard was offered a role in the movie as well, but he turned it down because he was focusing on disco, so he didn't want to be involved in any kind of rhythm and blues, rock and roll type deal. That would have been cool to see him. Another rock and roll icon that was rumored to have been offered a role was the late Elvis Presley. Now, I know what you're thinking. He passed away 2 years before production of the movie, but legend has it Dan Aykroyd was able to speak with Presley in a seance and got his permission to cover Jailhouse Rock, the famous closing scene, of course. In the
Coming to you on a dusty road. Good lovin', I got a truckload.
Well, I should have known this was going to happen, and you know what? That's fine. This is the ghost of Elvis Presley. Elvis, let me ask you, were you really going to appear in the Blues Brothers?
Well, you bet, son. You know, I said to Danny Aykroyd when we were talking, I said, Danny, you have got to let me be the sheriff. I said that to him. I said, Danny, you have got to let me be the sheriff. I'm going to be in this movie. You got.
No, I heard
got
it.
to
I heard
let
what
me be the sheriff. Yep.
But the sheriff, you as a police officer, that would have been pretty cool. That would have been cool. What songs were you thinking of doing?
Didn't work out, though, Sam. There wasn't room for me. You know, you get all these great guys, James Brown, Ray Charles, man. These cats, they could sing, man. They could sing and holler just as good as the next fella. Couldn't they sing, man? Couldn't they sing? Am I wrong on that? Couldn't they sing?
They sure could sing.
Oh, man, I remember one time, me and James Brown, we went out to eat fried chicken. This was back in 1974. This will come in handy later. Me and JB. Can you believe it? Me and JB and EP, man. TCB, man. They got all sorts of letters coming at you. We went out to get some fried chicken, some good old fried chicken from Gladys's, and I took a big old bite out of a chicken wing, man. And I turned to JB, and I realized I ate part of his arm. Hand to God, Sammy T. I took a large chunk out of his arm. We had to go to the ER, boy. We had to go to the ER.
Wait a minute. You ate part of his arm? How does that even happen?
I ate the whole daggone thing, boy. I ate his whole arm. You know, I thought, man, I can't leave James like this, just a little chunk out of him. So I just ate it all up. I ate the whole arm and went to the ER. They fixed him right up there on the spot, gave him a new arm. That's that.
That's that? Elvis, you can't just say that's that, because that can't happen.
James Brown is still alive.
No, he isn't.
James Brown is still alive.
No,
he's living at Graceland. That's why no one can go upstairs at Graceland, because James is living up there. He's got a small, little, tiny family. They're all about 5-6 inches tall. They need constant care and watch. And JB can never leave.
Elvis, what are you talking about?
Well, I feel good. I knew that I would. Sam, ever tell you about that time I ate James Brown's arm?
Yes, very recently.
It was delicious. Who dog? It was delicious.
Sure it was, Elvis. Can we talk about the Blues Brothers?
Them Blues Old Brothers boys show, man. They put on a good show, man. They put on a good show, let me tell you.
They sure do. Tell me about your favorite scene from the movie.
My favorite scene, my absolute favorite scene in the Blues Brothers. It's when they go up in that swamp, and Jake turns to Elwood and says, Jake, what are you doing in my swamp? He says that to him. I'm cracking up thinking about it. He looks at him right in his little donkey eyes, and he says, Jake,
Elvis,
what are you doing?
Are you confusing the Blues Brothers with Shrek?
My girl wants to party all the time, party all the time, party all the time. Bad news, Sam. I just got word. James Brown's kids got out. Got to go take care of business, baby. But wait here. I'll be back in about 36 hours. You just wait right here.
I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting, Elvis.
Hey, now,
I'm not waiting.
You're an old girl. You're all green and swampy. Man, I love that movie, Blues Brothers. That's a good movie. I think that was a cartoon.
Walked through a party in the county jail. Prison man was there, they began to wail. The band was jumping and the joint began to swing. Should have heard this knocked out jailbird sing. Let's rock. Everybody, let's rock. Everybody on the whole cell block was dancing to the jailhouse rock. Floyd Murphy played the tenor saxophone. Little Joe was blowing on the slide trombone. The drummer boy from Illinois crashed, boom, bang. The whole rhythm section was a purple gang. Let's rock. Everybody, let's rock. Everybody on the whole cell block was dancing to the jailhouse rock.
could use a wood chair.
Let's rock. Everybody, let's rock.
Everybody on the old cell block was dancing till I'm right, yeah.
Dancing to the jailhouse rock. Dancing to the jailhouse rock. Who's dancing to the jailhouse rock? Dancing to the jailhouse rock. Everybody on the old cell block was dancing to the jailhouse rock. They were dancing, 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 dancing to the jailhouse rock. They were dancing, 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 dancing to the jailhouse rock. Everybody on the old cell block. They were dancing to the jailhouse rock. Everybody on the old cell block who was dancing to the jailhouse rock. Everybody on the old cell block was dancing to the jailhouse rock. Everybody on the old cell block was dancing to the jailhouse rock. She complicated, left me a mule to ride. She complicated, left me a mule to ride. My baby complicated, left me a mule to ride. The train pulled out, I swung on behind. Crazy about it, hard-headed woman of mine. Man, my baby long, great gosh almighty, my baby tall. You know my baby long, great gosh almighty, my baby tall. My baby, she long. My baby, she tall. You sleep with her head and catch her, and I'll beat you in a hall. Crazy about her, that hard-headed woman of mine. Well, I love my baby. She's so fine. Wish she'd come and see me sometime. She don't believe I love her.
Caught the Katy, ladies and gentlemen, from the opening scene of The Blues Brothers. Premiered 40 years ago today, and we've had all sorts of fun guests on tonight's show. Floyd Murphy Jr., Brian Scanlon, my dad, the ghost of Elvis Presley, and the fun special guests just keep on rolling in. Because just shortly here, we're going to talk with comedian Rob Belushi. That name sounds familiar. He is the host of a new game show on the Game Show Network called Get a Clue. It's a lot of fun. It's sort of 60s, 70s based, sort of like Password if you remember that one. But it has a couple modern fun spins on it, so everybody should check that out. That's called Get a Clue. And Rob is the son of Jim Belushi, who has sort of stepped into his late brother John's role in the Blues Brothers, but with his own character and own personality, Z Blues. If you ever see a Jim Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, Blues Brothers act coming to a town near you, I highly recommend checking them out. But about Rob Belushi has paved his own path in the entertainment industry. He's had parts in sitcoms like How I Met Your Mother, various movie roles, and has been performing improv for many, many years. And that's how I got to know him. So without further ado, Rob Belushi.
Hey, Rob, how are you?
I'm doing great, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thanks for being here.
I was just in Des Moines not too long ago. I love it out there. It was my first time, and what a great city.
I'm from Joliet, so I'm kind of used to that area, so it's pretty similar,
Illinois?
Yeah. Yep, Joliet, Illinois, yes, sir.
Oh, gosh, I played the Rialto once. That's a cool town.
Yeah, actually, I was going to mention that right away. I don't know if you remember this. When you were with your dad at the Rialto with the Chicago Board of Comedy, it was me and my improv group were there, and we met you after the show. And you guys talked with us for a little while.
Ah,
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, man. Nice to talk to you again.
Yeah, nice to talk to you too. And that was just such a wonderful experience. So I wanted to say thank you again for taking time, you and your dad, for doing it. That was great.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure. Thanks for returning the favor today.
Oh, of course. So I want to talk a little bit about this new show, Get a Clue. I really liked it. I saw the little preview of it. It's got a really kind of retro feel to it, like 60s and 70s.
Get a Clue is a fast-paced game of giving and guessing clues for the chance to win $10,000. It has 2 teams of 4 competing against each other in an effort to guess clues from your teammates of words that are appearing on a play screen below them that are secret, without saying the word or saying sounds like or singing or anything like that. And it all depends on communicating, listening, and working together for a common goal, which, I'm totally behind. I think you're right. There are elements that savvy game show audiences will find familiar from shows they've loved in the past or games they've played at home. It is based on guessing secret words, which is kind of like catchphrase in some other shows. But I think they'll find when they watch Get a Clue on Game Show Network, it really is its own new, fresh, kind of contemporary take on that type of gameplay. It's all about energy and fun, and that's kind of my job as the arbiter of energy, making sure people feel comfortable and feel free to be themselves, because when people are authentic on a game show, there's just nothing funnier.
Yeah, exactly. And then, knowing you from the Board of Comedy and then all the TV shows and movies you've been in, when I heard you were going to be hosting a game show, I'm like, man, that's perfect for you. You have the exact energy for it, and I think you're doing a great job at it. I think it's really, really fun.
I appreciate those kind words, man. Thank you very much. I'm certainly having the time of my life. It is a dream job. I get to meet new people. I like people, get to spend some time with them, and this kind of weird experience that they're having that is kind of not an everyday experience, and try to help people have fun, and my goal is to give them money. So please help me give you money. If you're on Get a Clue, help me help you.
The best things in life are free, but you can give them to the birds and bees. I need fun. All I want, that's what I want. All I want, that's what I want.
How is this different, I guess, when you're doing maybe like a sitcom, like How I Met Your Mother, or you're doing a movie? How is that different than actually hosting a game show?
So, there is like a lot of overlap in terms of skill set, right? We're aware of what's happening. We're trying to be authentic. We're listening and responding to the last thing said to us and trying to stay in the moment. How it's different is the only story we really have to tell is the story that is unfolding kind of as it plays out. We don't really have to have an agenda because there are rules in place. We don't have to get to know characters because the characters are the contestants, and they'll let us get to know them themselves. So it's just about being present in the moment, seeing what happens, and enjoying it.
Yeah.
TV and film is super fun. It's a whole different type of collaboration with, in both places, tons of people are required to make the product. It's not just me and the contestants. It's the producers, it's the camera operators, the costume department, production. I mean, it is a team of, over 100 people getting you that 22 minutes. So when everyone works together, it's a great experience, and we all get to, have a nice day at work.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it. We'll Get a Clue airs weekdays at 4 on the Game Show Network. Rob, I want to thank you so much for talking with me.
Thanks for taking the time. Nice to talk to you again.
Yes, nice to talk to you. Best to your dad.
Oh, thanks, brother.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to yet another edition of Super Movie Fans on KHBT. I am your host, Pat Delaney, and today's movie that we are discussing on Super Movie Fans is a little classic known as The Blues Brothers. John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd star as Jake and Elwood Blues, who reunite their rhythm and blues band in order to save the orphanage in which they grew up. Joining me as co-host of Super Movie Fans is the one and only Tom the Blues Ignarski. How you doing, Tom?
Hey, I'm doing well, Pat. How are you doing as well?
I'm okay. Hanging in there. We are talking about the Blues Brothers. Tom, I understand you had sort of a big scene in the movie there. You were a stuntman in the mall, right?
Slight correction, my dear friend Pat. I was unaware they were filming a movie at the mall and had simply wandered in to get myself an Orange Julius. Much to my surprise and dismay, I was rear-ended by an Illinois State police car. That then shattered my tailbone, but hey, every time they rerun the movie, I get a 17-cent residual check, so that's not too bad.
Hey, I'll take that check, my friend, no doubt. So Tom, looking at the film from an unbiased perspective, pretending you were not involved at all in any way, how would you rank The Blues Brothers among the top American films of all time?
Oh, that's an easy number one all the way. It's got everything. Music, comedy, cars, Chicago. It's truly a masterpiece.
And speaking of masterpieces and Chicago, Tom and I just finished binge watching The Last Dance, that documentary about Michael Jordan and the Bulls. Tom, how did you enjoy that series?
Real good, Pat, real good. I enjoyed all 10 hours of it.
So the climax of said documentary, spoiler alert folks, the Chicago Bulls beat the Utah Jazz in the 98 finals to clinch their rightful sixth championship trophy. Now Tom, of course that's no surprise to us, but what do you think would have happened if the Bulls didn't sign Jordan back and instead signed the Blues Brothers?
Do they wear the Bulls uniforms or do they got the suits on?
Regulation uniforms, with the exception of the hat and the sunglasses. They will remain on.
I think the Bulls Brothers would have swept the Jazz in 4 games. Easy. I mean, Blues versus Jazz? Come on. Blues wins.
But let's say that MJ did return to the Bulls and did not retire in 1998.
Would it be out of the question for the Bulls to win 26 additional championships?
Not at all. Now, what if a certain coach, Phil Jackson, did not return and we had instead a certain coach, Ditka, at the helm?
I believe the number is so great that it cannot be expressed by a real number.
Well, on that note, my friend, we are going to take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors. More Super Movie Fans right after this. Super Movie Fans on KHBT is sponsored by Ray's Toilet Paper Exchange, now located in the historic hot dog district of South Chicago. Ray's has all your TP needs. Don't have the cash? Why not trade for it? Ray's takes in speaker wire, copper tubing, 8x10s of Mike Ditka, and more. That's Ray's Toilet Paper Exchange, your number one source for your number 2 needs. Welcome back to Super Movie Fans on KHBT. My guest tonight, Tom the Blues Ignarski. And now what has become a sort of weekly tradition here on Super Movie Fans, show corrections. Now these are notes from our producer, Todd. How you doing, Todd?
Real good, Pat.
So on last week's show, it says here, Tom said that the Sears Tower was originally constructed to hold all of Michael Jordan's MVP trophies. Turns out, the Sears Tower was constructed in 1973, when His Airness was only 10 years old.
We might have to double fact check that one, Pat.
I think you're right. I think we're going to double fact check that. This is from Tuesday's show. It says, Tom and Pat discussed in detail the plot of Jurassic Park as if it were an actual event, neglecting to tell the listeners it was a movie at all.
Come on, don't be stupid now.
Yeah, don't be stupid. Come on, everybody knows that really happened. This next one here looks like it says Tom and Pat on last week's show made the assertion that Michael Jordan got his talents by drinking from the Chicago River when it was dyed green for St. Patrick's Day.
Where's the correction, Todd?
Todd, where's the correction on that? Am I missing something?
Todd, where's it at? I don't see nothing wrong with that.
We all know that's the truth. Okay, time now for listener mail. Our listener mail. This one's from Mandy T. from Rolling Meadows. She says, hey Pat, what's the deal with this show? I thought you were a sports show. What's this about movies? Well, Mandy, thanks for writing. With the postponement of professional sports, Tom and I decided to split the bill on some streaming services, so we've been doing that. But thanks for writing. And on that note, for Tom Ignarski, I've been Pat Delaney. Join us again next week for more Super Movie Fans, where we dive deep into the film The Greatest Showman.
Hey, you know Michael Jordan turned down the lead role in that film, you know? Supposed to be about the Bulls, but he dropped out. That's why it's about a circus guy or whatever.
Well, that was a lot of fun, wasn't it, folks? On a Saturday night, sitting here talking about the Blues Brothers, chatting with so many wonderful people. So I do thank everybody for tuning in, for checking this out. If you haven't listened to the Blues Review before, we are airing temporarily on Saturday nights to make way for Humboldt Wildcat Sports, so stay tuned next Saturday for another great episode of the Sam T. Blues Review. But before we wrap things up here, I do want to acknowledge something that happened a couple days ago. There was some looting that was going on at the building in Chicago that was used as the exterior for Ray's Music Exchange and the Blues Brothers. And unfortunately, recently, it did have to be bulldozed. And if you've never seen it, if you've never been to that area, I recommend just looking it up. Brian of the Chicago Bluesmobile has some great pictures of it with his car in front of it. And the mural that was painted there for the movie had, I think, Muddy Waters on it, B.B. King, I think Little Walter, someone on the harmonica. But they had a lot of really influential musicians, amazing blues musicians there with ties to Chicago, and it was just such a cool sight. Of course, it was kind of worn down a little bit, but it was still something that I looked forward to see every time I was in the area, and unfortunately, it's gone. Whether that mural can be repainted somewhere else or another building or facility, would like to do something to help preserve this great Chicago history, that remains to be seen. But in any case, I wanted to mention it, wanted to let everybody know about it. Please look it up. Check out the Chicago Bluesmobile. He has some wonderful pictures of it, like I mentioned. In any case, this has been the Sam T. Blues Review. Thanks everybody for taking this journey with me, and I want to thank Brian Scanlon, Floyd Murphy Jr., Tom Jensen, and Lonnie Wilkins. The show was co-written by Heather Jensen, our theme music composed and performed by Little Magic Sam, and our sponsor tonight, Shiny Top Brewing in Fort Dodge. Thanks everybody, do what you feel. Keep both feet on the wheel. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. For Sam T. Blues, I'm Sam T. Jensen. Good night.